Good morning and welcome to the Morning Breath live stream where we start our day with coherence. I'm your host, Jeremy Tennell, systems designer and coherence coach. And this is week 7, day 32 of our 14-week journey entitled The Path of Personal Transformation. And today, we're going to talk about the cost of misalignment. Years ago, I was hired by a small invention company owned by two brothers. They had made a dozen little gadgets that made something out there in the world a little bit easier. And a couple of those things went pretty big within niche markets. Their biggest invention was a form of a bike suspension before anyone else was thinking about bike suspension. It worked incredibly well, but looked incredibly ridiculous. They wanted help marketing the product. I spent a month working on their sales floor, learning the product, meeting their team, understanding their market, and figuring out what the niche was. I only met the brothers once on the day I was hired. All communication went through their product manager. At the time, I thought it was a little odd, but acceptable. They were probably busy. The day I pitched the idea, one brother was incredibly enthusiastic, excited to hear what I had to say. The other was clearly annoyed. He didn't even want to be there, and that was obvious. Needless to say, I went into my presentation and it went absolutely nowhere. I left the company after that meeting. On the surface, everything looked aligned. Same goals, same language, same intention to build something meaningful. And if you asked anyone in that room, yeah, we're on the same page. But underneath, something was just off. Decisions took longer than they should have. Conversations turned into conflict. Tension was constant in that organization. Nothing was breaking in the moment necessarily, but nothing was moving either. And slowly, over the month that I was there and the hour of my presentation, what started as excitement by most turned into exhaustion by everyone. Not because the work was hard or the idea was bad, but because the alignment wasn't real. Misalignment doesn't always look like conflict. Sometimes it looks like slow, quiet exhaustion. Misalignment is not always loud. It doesn't necessarily show up as arguments, breakdowns, or obvious struggle. Most of the time, it shows up as unseen tension, ungrounded delays, a cloud of confusion, and lots of repeated conversations. There's an unspoken frustration. It's the meeting after the meeting, the conversation that never quite lands, the feeling that you're working very hard, but not actually moving forward. And here's the deal. Misalignment drains more energy than conflict ever would. Because at least conflict is honest. Misalignment hides. It's carried in the hearts of those unwilling to be accountable for their presence and their intentions. It fosters in the lack of action from those that are willing to enable others who don't do their personal work. You thought things were aligned? The vision made sense? Everyone said the right things. So what do we do when we feel it? We compensate, we tighten, we try to communicate, we try to clarify expectations. We sit down to re-envision, to regroup. We try to get everyone on the same page. But here's what we don't ask. Are we actually operating from the same level of awareness? Because alignment is not agreement. It is not saying yes It is not shared language. Alignment is shared understanding, shared personal responsibility, and shared capacity, which is cultivated within to stay in the work when it gets uncomfortable. Without that, what you have is not alignment, it's performance. Instead of naming the misalignment, we try to keep fixing it. From a systems perspective, misalignment creates friction. In the flow of energy, communication, and decision making, these patterns look alike. They follow a specific path. There's perceived alignment, action, hidden friction, rework, delay, fatigue, and disengagement over time. The system doesn't collapse, it stalls, which is far more dangerous because stalled systems create passive resentment in teams and quiet disengagement in individuals. There's a loss of trust without confrontation. Eventually, people don't leave because of one moment. They leave because nothing ever fully works. True alignment, on the other hand, creates clarity, a shared vision, promotes co-creation. You have movement and feedback loops. There's adjustment and progress. Misalignment interrupts that cycle and places it with friction loops rather than feedback loops. I want to say that one more time. True alignment creates clarity, shared vision, allows co-creation to emerge. There's movement, feedback, and adjustment, progress over time. Misalignment interrupts that cycle and replaces it with friction loops rather than feedback loops. Misalignment doesn't stop the work. It slowly drains the life out of it. And this is not just happening in teams. This is cultural. We've been conditioned to value agreement over truth, slip around tension instead of confronting and working through it. We prioritize inclusion over alignment. We say yes when we are not fully in, and stay quiet when something doesn't sit right. We move forward without ever checking if we're actually in alignment. Over time, this creates entire systems that look functional on the outside, but feel exhausting when you step into them. Because underneath it all, people are not right in relationship with themselves, with each other, and with something higher. There is no triadic alignment. Therefore, there is no alignment with each other. Only the push for constant forward momentum along a single axis of direction that is often stalling out or burning out people. If alignment isn't real, the cost will always show up somewhere. Today, this is not about creating perfect alignment. It's about creating honest enough moments so that you can recognize when it's not there. Where are things feeling harder than they should? Where are things getting constantly repeated? Where are some in the team carrying more than their share? Because those are not random. Those are signals. Signals that something underneath the surface is not in alignment. And the longer you ignore it, the more it costs. Today, I want you to find some time with your journals. And I want you to write down these questions. Where in my life am I experiencing quiet friction? What conversations am I avoiding that might reveal misalignment? Am I truly aligned, or am I just agreeing to keep things moving? What would it look like to name misalignment with honesty and care? It's possible that you might be one of the individuals in your team, your organization, your family, your community that is not aligned with everyone else. And maybe there's good reason not to be. Just because you're out of alignment doesn't mean you're bad, but it means that you need to have a conversation. You need to bring the misalignment to the surface, and you need to ensure that your alignment begins first. Let's move into breath work. We're going to practice this morning for about 6 minutes, 5 minutes. So I want you to get a comfortable seat. I want your feet to be flat on the ground. And you're going to just shimmy your hips and roll your shoulders back. And we're going to start with 2 breaths with an exhale as a sigh. So let's inhale big. Exhale with a sigh. Inhale again. Exhale with a sigh. Let's place our hands over our heart because we are targeting the intelligence center of our heart to align with the intelligence center of our brain. So let's inhale for about 6 seconds through our nose. And exhale for about 6 seconds through our mouth. Again. Let's repeat. Relax your forehead and your eyes. Relax your jaw. Relax your shoulders. Keep that 6-second rhythm. And let's begin an inventory of gratitude in our minds. I am thankful to be here. I am thankful for the sunrise. I am thankful for the morning. I am thankful for the day. I am thankful for the opportunities today brings. I am thankful for my support system. Continue your gratitude list and let it spiral out and expand. Continue your rhythmic breath at 6 seconds each. Stay with it. When you get distracted, come back to your breath and your gratitude. Stay with it. This is where the benefits come. Continue your gratitude. Let's come back into the space with a big inhale. Exhale with a sigh. One more time. Exhale with a sigh. Misalignment will ask you to stay quiet, to keep things moving, to make it comfortable. But alignment, real alignment, requires something different. It asks you to slow down, speak the truth, risk the tension in service of something bigger. Because the cost of alignment in a moment of discomfort is the cost of being real. If this resonated with you, stay in the work. This space is for those who are practicing, not just listening. Take a breath today. Stay aware. And don't ignore what feels misaligned. I'll see you tomorrow, 5:30 a.m.